Hey everybody, Tekking101 here. Welcome back to another Zombie Powder chapter review. This will be chapter number 19, where we finally get the epic battle between Gamma and Mystic. Let's get into it right now! After we do the B-side Naked Monkeys, of course. Okay, so B-side Naked Monkeys number 12. This time is featuring Million Harold Falzon and his the Falzon sisters, the knife throwers that were fighting against Smith in chapter 17 that he defeated so splendidly with his amazing marksmanship skills. But anyway, he was an interesting character, I like to think. We get to see him without his mask on in this one next to one of his sisters, and Kubo actually goes down the list of all 15 of his sisters and names every single one of them. We have Sheila, Rena, Quintina, Patricia, Olivia, Nora, Lolita, Christia, Chiriana, Ilva, Hestia, Hiorandina, Fiscana, Erwarina, and Doriana. I have no idea what the nationality is for those names, and I probably butchered some of them. I kind of lost it when I read number 7, and it's Lolita, but I read it as Lolita, and I was like, okay, whatever. But yeah, he wears a mask and he's a weirdo, and he has the oddest mind next to Balmung in the circus. So he's like the number 2 guy. He's like the second in command, which kind of follows the hierarchy where it's like, you know, the main villain of the arc has to fight against Gamma, the second strongest has to fight against Smith, and the third strongest, which was Pyromania Pounder, has to fight against, Elwood. That's just how it goes. But somehow he's popular with the female fans, so that's always a good thing, I suppose. He lives with his 15 younger sisters who have the same face and style. By the way, their names are listed on the right. Okay, now here's my question now. And to be fair, it's been about a year or so since I've taken any kind of biology class. But, I learned about, hereditary traits and Punnett squares and all that crap. But 15 identical sisters, wouldn't that technically imply that they were all born at the same time? I guess in a way it doesn't necessarily mean that, but they're all around the same age, and they all have an identical appearance, so geez, their mother must have been basically a robot, because I don't see that happening anywhere. But whatever. Anyway, moving on. Falzon himself is 28 years old, and I know his sisters are a lot younger than him, but whatever. Alright, so we get to the opening of Chapter 19, where Gamma is staring down Balmung, and we have also Wolfina, who is still on the train, and then she kind of, collects herself, she, slaps her fellows in the face a little bit, gets back up and collects herself. She's like, okay, Mystic tried to fuck with my head a little bit, but Gamma came back and kind of reassured me I'm good to go. Say your prayers, Balmung. And, this Chica's ready to go. She's ready to fight. She was kind of maybe she thinks that now because Gamma's there, she kind of feel reassured, if she messes up or something, Gamma will be there, and they'll kind of tag team, and like 2 versus 1 has a better chance. So anyway, she goes right at him, and then we get the cover page, and I'm assuming, well, actually I know that this chapter was released around Christmas time in 1999, so therefore we get the Christmas cover of Zombie Powder, and yeah, that's something right there. It's just so weird knowing that Kubo drew this, because Kubo is never really this overt when it comes to the sexualization of his characters. I mean, yes, he has Rangiku, yes, he has Nell, yes, he has Orihime, but none of those characters in Bleach wrote with a magic marker on their boobs, "Hey, suckers, dive into here now!" Yeah, although I would like to see a Bleach chapter where that happens. Maybe that's he's saving that for the last couple chapters of Bleach. That's for the post-time skip. That's for the scene what happens, 20 years in the future. Anyway, so we also have Smith and Gamma hanging out in the background, and Gamma he's trying to look cool with the Santa hat on, so that's kind of neat. So we get back to the action, and let me just remind you, while this fight is going on, they're still on top of a train that's rocketing through the fucking desert. I mean, this thing is booking. It's fast, man. So Wolfina's charging right at freaking Mystic, and I guess she's about to attack him, but Mystic's about to basically slash her, because obviously he's a lot more faster and more responsive to her. So she's about to get hit when Gamma kind of has to like nudge her out of the way and grab the freaking sword that Mystic was about to stab her with. And it turns out that Gamma actually ended up getting hit too. He ended up stopping the blade that Mystic had. It's some ice throwing knives he had in his hand, like a nodachi, like a short sword or like a tanto sort of thing. And that stabbed right through Gamma's freaking hand, his left hand. While he's telling Wolfina, okay, listen, this is my fight. You can go rescue your brother. It's cool. I'm holding him off. Okay, that's my duty is to fight him. Your duty is to save your brother. It's okay. You would only hinder me in this fight anyway. That's kind of true. So Wolfina heads on over to her brother, and Gamma is keep in mind, he has his left hand pinned to Balmung because he stabbed it, and he has his chainsaw sword in the other hand. So he literally just grabs the freaking pull string in his teeth, which is actually more like a pull chain, and just oh, save your brother. Vroom, he just pulls the damn thing, revs that engine up, and that manages to he cuts the train horizontally across with his chainsaw sword, and also frees himself from Balmonk, and it separates the train cars so that, Gamma and Mystic can have their fight without Wolfina interfering, and without Wolfina being afraid of, getting caught up in the battle as well. Although now, maybe a little bit too short-sighted on Gamma's part, because now Wolfina is all by herself on this train. Well, not really by herself, but from his perspective, she probably is by herself. And, it's still going very fast through the desert, so I don't know what Gamma's expecting. If he's going to be like, okay, I'll beat you, and then I'll pick up another unicycle, and I'll rocket up to her, and I'll save her again. But, she gets sent off to parts unknown, and the train car kind of stops in the middle of the desert, and Gamma and Mystic are ready to start their battle. So, Gamma's like, and Gamma brings it up, like, oh, it's okay, because, she'll rescue her brother, and Mystic's just like, yes, but, did you expect there to be not any more members of my troop on the train? So with just that glimmer, we don't see anybody on like anybody else on the train, but I would assume there would be a conductor. I mean, it's a magic train, so maybe it's like running on itself, but he said there's somebody else on the train, so maybe it's like the conductor or something. He'll pop out with his demented shovel and he'll be like, bring it on, Mishy. It'll be like an old 1800s like prospector dude, but he'll like kick a bunch of ass. That'd be kind of cool. I don't know. But anyway, so after he says that though, Gamma gets like this bead of sweat just running down his face, like there's more people on the train. Oh, okay, well, whatever, nothing I can do about it now. And Mystic's just like, oh, your eye color changed just now. So then he whips off his freaking glove or whatever I guess he had on his hand, and this reveals his hand turns into minigun, like each one of his 5 fingers turns into a gun barrel, and his wrist is wrapped up in the magazine, in the chain magazine. So he just starts unloading on freaking Gamma, and he's just like, you've fallen, Akutabe Gamma. And apparently this is kind of like going on a little bit to what their past is together, because it was kind of alluded to that they've had a past. I just thought that meant that Gamma and Mystic fought like a while ago, back when maybe they were lesser criminals and they weren't wildly known. Apparently the connection was a little bit more thorough than that. It wasn't just a matter of just, two people that just have a fight. Apparently they were a member of a similar group, or I don't want to say organization, but maybe like some kind of mercenary group or type deal, because he's bringing up something that like Gamma's been like, like years ago, and saying that when I first saw you at the hospital, I felt myself really shudder because of all the stuff you did to me in the past, but after I got over that sense of like shuddering, I noticed that the smell coming off of you was different. It was human. So this is kind of implying something completely different about Gamma, that he wasn't even human to begin with, or he's something different. I mean, obviously he had monster-like strength, and he has the Kairin Zanjutsu, and he has like the armored right arm, which we still don't know how he got that. But obviously there's some the past with this guy is very welcoming to backstory. It's very welcoming some kind of exposition, And this entire battle, this entire chapter anyway, Mystic is basically just dodging Gamma's attacks. He's attacking him, and he's sending out some more magic. He pulls out the minigun, he turns his bow tie into 2 like deadly king cobras that attack Gamma, and he just cuts them in freaking half. Take that, Orochimaru. Yeah, where's your summoning technique out now, bitch? Gamma could take out Manga quite easily. I'm just saying he could. Anyway, Gamma just says after he cuts up the snakes, is like, Fallen, I don't want to hear that from pieces of shit like you that just collect the Rings of Dead just for fun. At least Gamma, I mean, the reason he said it was just to become immortal, but, Elwood's tagging along, and that wants to resurrect somebody else, and at the end of this chapter, we might have an idea that maybe Gamma also has somebody else he wants to resurrect with the zombie powder. But apparently Balmonk's just doing this just to be like, kill some time, just want to collect the zombie powder, might be something cool to do, something like that. And Balmonk retorts this by just basically saying, like, humans crave excitement. They're basically like houseplants. You have to keep giving them excitement, or else they'll die, and they'll never grow beautifully if you don't keep giving them stimuli throughout their entire life. And he's like, that is why I'm going to fight you. It's the greatest joy and excitement in my life. So he charges at Gamma again, and he pulls out these 2, like, oddly shaped swords. They're like, it's like a katana, or it's weird. It's like katana shaped as the blade, but the handle and the guard kind of resembles like a rapier saber type deal, and the blade itself is bent at like a 45-degree angle, kind of resembling like a cutlass or a scimitar, but it's still in a narrow shape like a katana, so I don't know what the hell you would call these things. Anyway, he pulls these things out, and I guess these wings also protrude from his cuffs on his jacket so he can like fly or gain more agility to fight against Gamma, so he attacks him and clashes blades with him. And he's like, you will live up to my expectations. And then he starts stating to Gamma again. He manages to cut him a little bit across across the chest, and he's just like, what has happened to you, Gamma? You know, back in the day, man, like, just one looks at you, just one scent from you would be enough to send shivers down my spine and just make my heart burst. Like, basically just like, oh, there's no way I could beat this guy. The body that you had back then was the body of a true black monster, and we get these really cool silhouettes of Gamma, and then we get another appearance of him, like, when he was maybe a lot younger. He's, like, all dressed in black, except for, his hair and his eyes, you know, they're revealed there. And we have a little bit of a flashback to what, I guess they were colleagues in this group or whatever, and he's like, we were working the same job, and then when it offered to join hands to help you get the target, that's apparently when he, like, dealt, like, he fought against him, and you know, he apparently really heavily wounded Mystic back then. It's very confusing because we don't know everything about the backstory here, but I think that's the kind of the point, is that we don't know a lot about their backstory. This is just kind of like the, like, scratching the surface of who Gamma really is. And after all this, though, after kind of going on a nostalgia trip, you know, Mystic explaining why he's so disappointed in Gamma, Gamma's just like, I don't know what you're freaking talking about, because the Gamma you're talking about is dead, or he has already died. So this is kind of going to, like, the man he used to be is different. And Mystic just looks at him, just kind of like gives like a chuckle, and he's just like, he died, did he? Could you really say that with all your heart? That Gamma that has died in front of her? And it's very elaborately, like, he shouts it, and he like appears, like, two more hands come out of his the right side of his body, and he just starts, like, parrying, attacking at Gamma. And the second he mentioned her, didn't even say her name, but just said her, Gamma's eyes just whoosh, like Hollow Ichigo, like, fucking immediately. And he just slices that son of a bitch's arms clean off, all three of them. And he falls off the freaking train car, and he lands in the sand, and Gamma pounces off the thickened thing, and he lands, and he's all in silhouette, and he just looks, it honestly looks from this panel, I don't think this is the case, but it just looks like I think his one arm is just bent behind his body, but it looks like his left arm is, like, missing, but I think that's just because it was, like, bent behind, because I can kind of see it from the shadow. There's nothing to let me to believe that he cut off his arm. I mean, I think Mystic landed a couple hits on his chest, but that's neither here nor there. He's, like, all in silhouette now, and he's just standing there just like, you bastard, and Mystic's just looking on like, haha, see, he's not dead yet. So I don't know if this is, like, his alternate personality, if Gamma's, like, bipolar or whatever, and he lived, you know, and he's, like, maybe he was, like, a bloodthirsty killer in his youth, and then this girl he met, you know, like, maybe, you know, brought him out of that, you know, that murderous trait that he had, and then maybe she died and something happened with that, and then Gamma's just like, well, because of her and to honor her memory, I'll discard that part of my life altogether. I'm going to move on beyond that, and I'm going to try to, you know, continue my life along the righteous path. I mean, this is just me, you know, guessing, because I have no idea, really. It's just, apparently there was this girl that was very special to Gamma in his past. I don't know if it was, like, his mom or sister, lover, mentor. I have no idea who it was. But maybe, I mean, it's obvious that she's dead now, because, you know, like, Gamma's bringing it up, like, I mean, Mystic's bringing it up, like, oh, would you say that really in front of her? So maybe, you know, he's aware of this woman as well, and, you know, maybe she died, and maybe it's kind of like a touchy subject, like you never bring it up, but because Mystic is fighting against Gamma, he's like, oh, I'll bring her up just to kind of prod him, to get him to fight me seriously, and apparently it worked, because he went all, like, freaking, you know, nutso bipolar Jugo on the guy. So next chapter, I don't know if we're gonna get, like, crazy maniac Gamma, like, I must kill, or some shit like that. That'd be pretty cool. Maybe like a prerequisite to see how Kubo got some ideas for Hollow Ichigo or Vasto Lorde Ichigo or something. Kubo likes to do the multiple personality thing with characters. I've noticed this. But yeah, so cool chapter though. Got to know a little bit more about Gamma's backstory. Certainly not so much in the way of fighting, but now that Gamma's, you know, twisting around, and he also was in silhouette. I want to bring that to attention too, because in that panel, I would just say everybody was in a silhouette, but Mystic was drawn normally, and Gamma's in that darkened way. So maybe we'll get more of that next chapter too. He's like, when he goes into his crazy blood rage mode, he's just in silhouette. I don't know. Anyway, or maybe he physically becomes like blackened or something. He's like because Mystic called him the Black Monster, and his nickname's the Black Arm Death. So maybe like the armor takes up his whole body. I don't know. I'm just you know, going crazy with the speculation here. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the review. Tekking101 signing.